how I did it was actually correct. It was not the density that I thought here, the per year density. Okay, so take that back and remember what I said there. Okay, so we have this little age distribution that we've imposed. We have people starting at those initial ages by having the birth time be given um, that many years before present. In other words, the start time is 0. We know that because we can look at these and the start time is 0. And therefore, if they're 40 years old right now, they were born at time at the initial time. I mean, they were born at time minus 40. Okay, and this birth time, of course, factors in, as people will recall, to our calculation at an individual level. At any time, we can ask for someone's current age, and it will take the difference of the current time, whatever time it currently is, minus the time they were born, say 40 years ago. If it's time 0 right now, and the birth time is minus 40, this will return 40. 0 minus 40 is 40. Okay, great. Okay, so that's where we're at with this. But now we want to add a histogram. We want to actually see those distributions. And that's going to open up lots of little fun possibilities. Histograms are one of these underutilized tools in any logic that can confer great insights. The other one that I'll highlight in that regard, or one other one I'll highlight, is scatter plots. Scatter plots are incredibly insightful in many types of agent-based modeling because you could show them at the individual level and understand the emergent patterns across the population that link up different aspects of agent state. Okay, here we go. So how we add histograms is a multi-part process. And the core of it is linked to the analysis palette, where we're going to draw on histogram objects and histogram data objects. An even more sophisticated construct is a histogram 2D. We may look at that at a later time, but for now we'll confine ourselves to histograms. So the first thing is we're going to add a histogram data object, and this is going to take care of keeping sort of dividing up the data into bins as we seek within the context of histograms. So this is going to be called age histogram data. Okay. I'm going to say age of population for reasons we'll come back to. Okay. And this is going to have a number of bins in it. I'm going to say 20 bins. And we're going to calculate beyond the division between them the probability density function amongst them, or technically the probability mass function. We're going to calculate the cumulative distribution function. Okay. We could calculate percentiles if we wanted to. But we're going to have it automatically detect the sort of range over which it needs to divide these things up. Later, we might want to add them in and explicitly. And I'm going to set this to not update automatically. I'm going to have it update at my command. Okay, great. Now, what we're going to do is add a histogram object. So that was a histogram data object that takes care of the kind of little bookkeeping associated with what's in what bin and all that sort of logic, that core logic. Now we're adding a histogram object. So again, we did histogram data. This is a histogram. And this is going to be age pardon me. Okay. So this is age population, or age of population, excuse me, population and histogram. Okay. And we want to show the cumulative distribution function, the probability distribution function, or technically probability mass function, and we'll show the mean. And that will be the vertical bar. And this will be called, oh, I misspelled it once again, population. Okay. This is going to be age of population. And you notice it's asking for the histogram, confusingly. What it's really asking for is the histogram data object. Okay. So don't get confused. It is the histogram, but it's asking for what's my histogram data object, and it's age of population histogram data. You notice I name these things to indicate what they are, so that at a glance I can tell what it is, and I can make sure where I insert it. If I call the histogram data histogram as well, it'd be really confusing. But the fact that I call it histogram lets me know I should be referring to that. Okay. Okay. And this is going to not be updated automatically as well. Okay. So we're a lot of the way through, but we have a core bit of logic that is still required. And the core bit of logic is going to be telling the histogram data object what things to populate in the bins, like what to place in the bins. It's counting things. But at this point, it doesn't automatically know what to count. It doesn't know, do we want to count people by age, by how long they've had heart disease, by, their the number of years they spent without heart disease thus far, or whatever, just their age, I guess. It doesn't know what to show. Maybe it's being asked to graph the number of the age of people at which they've died thus far. So we have to tell it what we want to show it. And for that, we need actually a bit of code. And I'm going to show you that code. And it ain't too bad, but it's going to teach you a thing or two. Okay. So here we're going to go back to the agent palette, and we're going to add in something that does something periodically, that triggers something at a certain time periodically. Do you remember there's a construct in here whose job in life is to trigger something periodically, or we can use it for that purpose. It's called something, makes you think it's only going to go off once, but it actually is a whole schedule to go off periodically, or at a certain rate. Does anyone know what type of thing I'm talking about here?
Dynamic event? No.
Good call. Dynamic event is even more flexible. A dynamic event lets you like kick off an event now, which will fire off at a later time, a certain amount of time from now. So maybe a deer got pregnant now, conception was now, and you want to say, hey, 9 months from now, have it give birth. Or, someone's beginning a process now, and you want them some amount of time later to graduate. It's a way of kind of kicking off something now, which will be sure to go off later. In this case, it's an event. It's just a plain old event, which is really morally an event schedule. So we're going to call this populate histograms event. There we are. And because it's going to serve potentially some other histograms too. So what type of event? Pay attention to this, because we've only seen like an event at a person level for their natality, for births. So this is going to be a timeout event, meaning it occurs at a fixed time apart. It's kind of confusing name. But instead of occurring only once, it occurs cyclically. with a certain rate or a certain time up between them. So it occurs at time 0 and then every 1 year. And this is what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to populate the histogram. So we have to put in some code. Remember, the job of an event is to do something at a certain time. That's where over here for the natality, for the birth event, it was going off at a certain rate and it was doing something, adding babies into the population. A fine event that is. Here, this is going to be going off cyclically with a spacing of 1 year. So like clockwork. And it's going to populate this histogram. How are we going to do it? Well, there's basically 2 steps that are needed. First thing is we're going to clear the histogram data, tabula rasa, clear the slate, clear the tally, clear away what's there before. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to say age of population, histogram data dot reset. Okay. Reset it. Clear it. Tell me, do I need this semicolon? Is this like computing a value for me, or is it telling like do that? It's commanding it. It's saying do this thing. I'm not getting any value back. This ain't no value. It's not giving me a value back. It's just performing an action for me. So I certainly need the semicolon. It's a command. Do it. And it says, yeah, man. Okay. Now we're going to go the second. So that's the first step. We're now dealing with histograms to sort of get them ready to display. The second step is to populate them with your data. And what we have to do here is just go over each person in the population and add the thing we want to be on the histogram, namely the current age, into the histogram data. So we're going to use what's called a for loop. So for each person, P, I'll call it person, in the population, you can see how I didn't want the population called person, in the population, for each person in the population, and I'm going to put in curly brackets because even though I don't need them technically because it's a single line, later you could try to modify it and you forget there's no brackets and it does the wrong thing and you're confused because it's all indented nicely and so on. Yeah. For each person, make sure it's curly brackets, not the square type. Yeah, you can put them up there. People have different styles for curly brackets. A lot of people prefer them like that. I prefer them both below in a sort of symmetry. So for each person in the population, we're going to add that person's datum, and here their age, the current age, into this histogram. So I'm going to add it to age of population. There we go. Histogram data dot add. Okay, this is the thing we're adding it to, which we're adding it. We're saying, hey, add this datum, add this data point. What is the data point? It's the person's current age. And is this a command? Is this computing a value or is it a command? Is it changing something or is it computing a value? It is changing something. It's adding it in to this data. So I need a semicolon. If this were just like giving me a value back, like a formula, calculating value, then I wouldn't need a semicolon. But here I need a semicolon because it's adding it in here. Okay. Okay. So thank you, Jeff. That's great. Make sure you model build. Make sure it's happy. If it ain't, ask one of the TAs to come with you. All right. We're going to try running this thing. Here we go. The model is firing up. Here's the number with heart disease. Here's the fraction with heart disease. And here be our distribution. Why is it kind of shifting to the left? You can almost see it kind of, well, it's shifting left, but it's going down here a little bit. Okay. You can see it's not quite in balance. There's a lot of young people. What's going on? What's causing these folks to appear in the youngest age group? What's causing that to appear? Anyone? Why are some peaks moving through? Well, it's aging. People are aging. You can see it's not quite in balance.
Well,
Thank
our
you.
birth rates, but also our distribution before had more younger people. So with
Uh,
birth rates,
good. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, there are more younger people, so um, they were giving birth to younger folks. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So yeah, we've got kind of a, but then again, this is like you're age 100, right? Like, like. So I'm looking at how uneven it is, but this is like age 80. So it's fitting that this be down. I think maybe what I'll do is you can see there's like the 300-year-olds. I think I'll cap it at age, just to give us a common reference, from age 0 to 100 in the histogram, so we can focus on that. Or maybe it's from 0 to 80. Here we're going to set this up to be values range. Instead of being automatic, I'm going to set it to 0 to 100. So this is the histogram data. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Jeff has a
but
nice.
this limit is just for the histogram, not for our data itself, right?
This is for the histogram. It's not our data. Yeah. Our data is generated. Like, we can't just say like it wouldn't be so easy to say like delete all those from the population or more than 100. No, I mean, we could put in something that would do that, but it would need a bit more mechanism than just like showing it here. This is just for what's displayed, just so that we avoid keeping on like getting wider and wider, which gets in the way of understanding it. Um, so now we're seeing something like this, which is still a little bit out of balance, but these are older decades here, and it kind of makes sense. There's fewer people in those older decades. Okay. Um, okay. Um, oh, somehow I entered the whiteboard. Okay. Now I've got to escape. Okay. That's kind of cool, but right. Okay, so here we have our histogram. Um, and you may have noticed that at the initial time, hey, come on, get back here. Um, uh, okay, yeah, this little whiteboard thingy is getting in the way of that. Okay. The initial time, we have more people in young groups. So I started at it's year 11. So these folks were born just recently. So we have a certain number, and then it gets smaller here, but it's a bit larger there. And anyway, um, okay, so here's our histogram. I'd like to know. So I'm going to post this. This is going to be version 10, and I'm going to post that. And then I actually want to make a point with the histogram. So version 10 is now up there. Okay, so I'm going to stop this.